The current economic realities in Nigeria is now all you need to know that you can't innovate your way out of a mad society. Because usually people used to think that, oh, if I can focus on my private life, if I can give more attention to my business, if I can give more attention to my job, if I can give more attention to personal development, it will turn out all right for me. But today people are beginning to realize that no matter how much you invest in your business, just one government policy can wipe out your business. Just one monetary policy can wipe out your business. Just one reckless government policy can put your businesses at peril. So I am not advising people not to pay attention to their businesses and their private enterprises. That must happen. But then on one hand, we must have to collectively organize in a way that takes care of the society in a sustainable manner by insisting that we have credible people running our government, because we now see the kind of influence they have. There's no business you're doing in Nigeria today that you're not feeling the heat. And this heat is occasioned not because you don't know what you're doing, but because the people who are managing the economy don't know what they are doing. And so no matter how much you have saved up in the past 1.5 years, that money has reduced in its value just because of reckless monetary and fiscal policies of the government. So you see that no aspect of Nigeria, nobody who lives here can indeed say that he is doubly insulated from bad governance. This gives us the incentive to organize, like I've said earlier, in our clusters to demand for good governance, to mobilize to elect credible leaders, and then even when we're done with the elections, to act in ways that keep the elected officials their feet to fire, to organize in ways that will keep making the demands concrete and urgent. Because if the demand side of government is not supplying, then the supply side of government would also not supply, right? It is when people have demanded for credible government, it is when people are insisting that these services must be rendered, that the people who are in office are pressured to do it. But when we don't demand enough, when we don't act enough, when we don't volunteer enough, when we don't show up enough, when we don't organize enough, then people who sit in authority may be there playing One Nigeria bonds. And it is those of us who are at the receiving side of government that usually suffers the most. And that's why it is usually us who should be incentivized to lead the charge in saying that this nation should be governed this way or that way. For today, the economy is a proper incentive to get interested in who leads Nigeria. And even when the election season is now over, we have to get interested in how they are governing. Because when you have a bad government and they propose to do 10 bad things, by organizing, we can limit the ability to do bad things to 2. And then if they have planned to do 2 good things, we can organize and demand in a way that will force them to do 10 good things. So that's my approach until that window of opportunity comes again for a whole-scale change of government. When that window of opportunity comes, I pray Nigerians maximize it. But now that the window is somehow closed, all we have to do is to insist that even the terrible government becomes less terrible, or even the bad government becomes less bad, or, somewhat, I won't say better, but somewhat manageable. So that will be my invitation to Nigerians. That's their best way to react to the economic issues. Gone are the days when you retreat to your shell. And for Nigerians who are saying, oh, I voted, what did INEC do? They didn't count my vote. Okay, if you go back to your houses, how are you sure that you'll do better? I mean, can you go back to your house and isolate yourself from insecurity? Can you go back to yourself and isolate yourself from reckless government policies? Today, you can't even travel abroad because many countries are revoking their visa arrangements with Nigeria. Look, the other day, people went to Saudi Arabia, or is it Dubai, and they were turned back. And so people just treat Nigeria with reckless abandon. So even those of you who travel abroad, those of us who have the resources to travel, look, if you keep having bad people in government, one day those countries will retaliate by imposing, several restrictions on Nigerians' ability to travel to their countries, no matter how much you have. And so the people who were turned back in Dubai, nobody asked them whether they were first-class citizens in Nigeria. Nobody asked them whether they are billionaires, multi-billionaires. They were just rejected outrightly because you have a failed government. And so this is one example to show that, look, you cannot insulate yourself out of a bad government. That's why, despite the disappointment of 2023, we have to keep engaging. We have to keep engaging until we see that kind of Nigeria we have envisioned, until we see that kind of Africa we have envisioned. Keep at it. Africa's morning is indeed at hand. My name is Chima Christian.